Who played the two semi-finals of the World Cup in 1982 in Spain, and what were their results?
Italy 2, Poland 0.
And what's the other two teams?
West Germany 3, France 3.
Right, correct.
West Germany won 5-4 on penalties.
Correct. Which team went out in the quarter-finals of the World Cup in 1994 in the USA, losing against Brazil?
Holland. Brazil 3,
Yeah.
Holland 2.
Right. In 1968, Germany defeated England for the first time. What was the score and who scored?
1-0. Beckenbauer.
That's correct. Inter Milan won the European Champions Cup. Who did they defeat in the final?
When?
1964. Who did they defeat in the final?
Real Madrid.
What was the score?
3-1.
And who did they defeat in the semi-final?
Borussia Dortmund.
That's correct.
Borussia Dortmund.
From day to day, we rely on cognitive or semantic memory. It's very, very broad, but speaking for myself, at least, it's not very deep because I forget an awful lot of things. The Savant uses the habit or procedural memory, which is not very broad because it's always within this very narrow area, but it's exceedingly deep, and it seems to have no...
While the outside world rushes by, Howard holds tight to his numbers. Calculating square roots calms his brain. It's a daily ritual, like his mother reading the newspaper. The mystery remains, however, why it is that savants have such very limited areas of speciality. Do they simply have different talents, just like the rest of us? Kim Peek has been bored by mathematics for a long time and has now shifted his attention to books and music. Researchers have just discovered that he also remembers every tune he ever heard, perfectly. He doesn't have to strain to remember, he just can't forget. His memory is like a search engine on the internet. He has access to every detail of his knowledge, without making an effort. His knowledge is just there.
When you first try to learn to ride a bike, you think about, I got to put one foot here and one foot there, and I have to balance. And then pretty soon you have the I got it experience. I can ride a bike, and it's all automatic. And that's automatic memory, and that's the kind of memory that savants have. It's an automatic memory. Then they have no concept or idea of how this is, that it's working.
Tangent of 62.875.112. 112.
95 divided by 109. 13 to the power of 7. 93 to the power of 20.
712 Septillion, 964 Milliarden, 865 Millionen, 801,90.
Jawohl, exakt richtig.
Precisely, as far as the computer can tell, that's correct.
Exakt richtig.
Rüdiger Gumm does maths the same way average people ride a bike, without thinking. Animation specialists have prepared the MRI data from Magdeburg so that we can see his brain while it's calculating, and compare it with the brain of a person with normal mathematical abilities. The result is somewhat intriguing. Given easy and mid-range problems to solve, Rüdiger in green activates less of the brain than the red-colored average. It's exactly the same in all experts who have extreme areas of speciality. The fewer nerve cells activated, the more efficient our brain. Rüdiger Gumm activates the yellow-colored areas only when those of us with a normal ability have long since given up. Normally, these areas have nothing to do with maths. But Rüdiger's brain has filed at least 250,000 intermediary results here, which he can retrieve when solving complex calculations.
Dieser Bereich hier ist sehr exklusiv bei Herrn Gumm aktiv.
This region is exclusively active with Mr. Gumm. When he calculates two-digit numbers with high exponents, the activity moves further down to an associated region of the brain. Interestingly, this area is particularly important in the face recognition. People are experts in face recognition from the start. This means that when someone develops an expertise, they start to mobilize regions in these areas in order to store their specialist knowledge.
Sein Expertenwissen quasi abzuspeichern.
I can calculate between 20 and 30 steps a second. It happens automatically. When I have the end result, I see it as a series of numbers in front of my mind's eye.
We move as adults through city traffic almost as automatically as we recognize faces from a young age. Instead of filing intermediary steps in mathematics, we file innumerable movements, appraisals and daily routines that we take up and use without thinking. The idea is that the brain always likes to do things on an unconscious memory level, because the things we do unconsciously are simple in metabolic terms. They are fast, run smoothly, and are unproblematic, although also inflexible. Basically, things that we can do easily are undemanding. Our consciousness is first activated when new, important, and complex things come up that activate special networks, more exactly the conscious networks, in our cerebral cortex. That's when everything gets really expensive and complicated. There are amazingly few things that we do in full consciousness. Experts estimate that 90% of our actions and reactions are controlled by our unconscious memory. In order to cope with constantly changing traffic, we have learned to change gear, brake and steer automatically, so that the driving routine takes place as soon as we get behind the wheel. Neurobiologists think that savants use the same memory files for factual knowledge. One theory says that the complex circuits between the cerebral cortex and the limbic system beneath it are defective in many savants. Our selective perception and our factual memory are normally based on these circuits. Our daily routines, and possibly also the savant's mental dexterity, are in contrast controlled by simpler circuits that lie deeper in the brain. Neurologists call this the habit memory. This is how the limbic system constantly deciphers the meaning of facial expressions, and the cerebellum controls our daily movements.
We're driven by our unconscious mind. Isn't that the interesting thing? So much of what we do is unconscious. The decisions we make are almost dictated to us. I often wonder who's in charge here. You know, who's running the show? How much control do we really have?
How much control does a mathematical artiste such as Rüdiger Gumm have at gambling? We have put him to the test with a game of blackjack, with a professional croupier. Rüdiger is playing the game for the first time. The result, after 45 minutes, Rüdiger has managed to remember every card he was given. The longer the game, the more of an advantage he has. In 3/4 of an hour, he wins €900. With a little more experience and more calculated betting, he would have won around €4,000.
Blackjack. Blackjack. 150, bitte sehr der Herr. Blackjack. Blackjack bezahlt, bitte sehr der Herr.
Just a shame that Rüdiger doesn't enjoy playing cards and therefore doesn't feel like making an effort to learn properly.
To perform at the top level, it's not enough to practice for half an hour every day. A lot of people think so, but it's not true. To really perform at the top, you almost have to be crazy.
In the hustle and bustle of Piccadilly Circus, Howard Potter is lost. It would be difficult for him to go shopping alone or find the way to the hotel, nor could he ask someone for help. Howard has never phoned a friend just to chat. But every telephone booth is a treasure trove for him in his never-ending quest for his only passion, prime numbers.